fitting way to celebrate National Coming Out of the Closet Day. So I am out here in Ellensburg, Washington. I needed to get my car repaired. We're in the midst of a great resignation where a lot of mechanics have pretty much decided to go on strike for the time being. And the nearest mechanic I could find was here in Ellensburg, and I checked into an Airbnb. Can't really find housing back in Seattle either, so it was a nice getaway and a nice time to do a little soul searching again and to be happily single. And unfortunately, I'm happily single. I have been for 11 years now. Unfortunately, the rest of society often is not exactly happy for me the same way that we treat of other sexual orientations, right? So a lot of times at my workplace, people think I have all this extra time. See, I prefer not to say single. Sometimes I say solosexual. Because listen to how this sounds. Hey, you're single, you don't have all this extra commitment, why don't you come in on Saturday? Versus, hey, you're solosexual, you don't have any commitments, why don't you come on Saturday? You see how that second one doesn't really flow off the tongue nearly as easily as that first one, right? Or, see, when I was working at a tech giant a number of years ago, and I often got these weird hours. And oftentimes, people don't realize that as a single guy, I don't have somebody doing all the household chores and the cooking. And so I'd be working till 7, 8 p.m. And then I'd have to go eat at a restaurant. And then you get a few weeks of emergency situations like that where you're eating out every day. And you realize that working those long hours actually costs you money to do, right? Or right now, people think that, I especially during the pandemic, right? People think that because I was social distancing from everybody anyway, that I could take the risk and do the stuff in person at the office. And then my coworkers were working from home. I was taking care of, I work at a tutoring center, the clients who wanted to meet in person, and their cars are safely parked at home. My car is out there, and then it breaks down. I need to come out here to Ellensburg to get it fixed. You realize there's a cost associated with all that, right? That's why I prefer to say solosexual. It doesn't flow nearly as easily, right? Hey, you're solosexual. You're not going to spread COVID-19 to other people. Why don't you do the in-person work? It doesn't sound as good as you're single. If you don't have anybody to spread COVID-19 to, why don't you come in here, right? Anyway, another problem is that people think that because solosexual that there might not be things that I want to do. So early on in the or not at the beginning of the pandemic, but when we started to reopen, I took up bowling, and at the beginning of my bowling, I was scoring 70, 80 points a game. Now I'm getting closer to 200. I hope to average 200 by the end of this year. That's my goal. Now, okay, you might not care about my bowling score, especially in terms of my career choices, right? I'm not a professional bowler, but at the same time that I've been bowling, I've been really getting over my social anxiety, and that's definitely a part of my career choice, right? And my point is that solosexuals have their life goals as well. They have themselves to take care of, and there are opportunity costs to them taking on these extra hours, extra commitments that they might be different, right? So I mentioned that I don't have somebody at home to take care of the domestic chores. Other people might need to take care of a family member. Everybody has human challenges, right? Anyways, time to come out of the closet. I firmly believe that there's a lot more solosexuals out there. I think everybody's struggling alone. It kind of reminds me, many years ago when I was working at a tech giant, that had a big campus. And they had these little shuttle cars that would take you from one building to another. I could never use the shuttle cars because people put on so much fragrances. And I suggested to HR, why don't we set aside some fragrance-free shuttle cars, right? And the HR person told me that there's not enough demand for it. Now, I think 10 or 20% of Americans suffer from some degree of multiple chemical sensitivity, and that's only for chemicals, right? There are some people who are outright allergic to fragrances specifically, but the problem is that everybody finds their own way to get around that, right? Some people own their car, some people have a bicycle, Some people might telecommute, right? And nobody speaks out about it, right? If we all came out of the closet, right, it wouldn't be so little demand, right? There's so little demand because there isn't talk about it, right? There needs to be somebody who rocks that boat and gets them all out of the closet, right? And I think the pandemic has kind of helped as well, right? It's made it easier to rock the boat because the boat's already been rocked, right? Anyways, definitely the pandemic has helped me come out of the closet in terms of being solosexual, and I hope it will inspire. I hope I can inspire a few more to come out, and we could all get our fair slice of the pie, right? Thanks for watching.